Okay, so in this section, I'm going to explain about abstraction. Abstraction is object-oriented programming concept, which will give the concept of exposing the essential part of your object outside and keeping the complexity of the object inside. So abstraction in Java is basically a class which you mark as a abstract. So when you mark as a class as a abstract, so there could be a few methods which are unimplemented. So any class which is extending the abstract class, they have to implement the unimplemented methods. Okay, so in this section I'm going to talk about abstract class, abstract methods, what is the contract of abstraction, how do we create the object of abstract classes, when to use abstraction. Okay, so has constructor, we will talk about how to use constructor. Can't be initialized, we will see if it can be initialized or instantiated, and it can have static method or not, we will see it. Okay, of course it is a Java doesn't support multiple inheritance. Okay, so let's talk about abstraction in detail using your Eclipse. So we will talk about abstraction, providing the a working example of Java. So let's create one class inside the inheritance package. So let's talk about this class. Let's give the name of this class as a abstract class. So you can give any name, and let's try to create one test class for this. Test abstract class. Okay, so let's create the abstract class. So here this is a class, normal class right now, which you can mark as a abstract. Okay, so the purpose of marking abstract is that we cannot create the object of this class. Once you mark that as a abstract, the way we do the normal creation of object of the class, that way we cannot create the object of abstract classes. So abstract class can be marked abstract without having any body also, I mean in any detail in the body. Okay, so let's create few methods over here. Let's first create the constructor. Okay, let's put some SOP. In abstract class constructor. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so in the test, let's create one main method. Let's try to create the object of that abstract class. Okay, so normally if you have seen other classes, if it is not marked as a abstract, the way we create the object is just like this: abstract class name, then object name, then new name of the constructor. So the way this is the way we will create the object of any class. But in this case, this is not way. We cannot create the class like this. We cannot create the object of a class like this. What we need to do, we need to open a inline body of that class. Now if I call this method, my constructor should be called. So it is in abstract class constructor. Let's create few more methods. Public static void call static method, that is the method I am giving. See that I put in abstract class static method. So now I can call that method I'm at wrong place. So let's print call static method. Okay, so we can call the constructor static method using this. So let's try to run it. So we have called in abstract class static method, but generally we should not create the object to call the static methods. So I can simply say that let class name dot static method. Okay, so we have seen that accessing static methods is not doesn't have any difference from the normal classes. So let's try to see the why we need abstract class. So far it's pretty much a simple class where I have marked as a abstract. So the difference with what we have seen, the way we can create the object. Okay, so the way we can create the object is something like, not just like new abstract class and parenthesis. We need to define the methods. We have to open curly braces and close it so that we can define unimplemented method from the abstract class. Okay, so let's see. So abstract class generally we use when you create a abstract method and don't put the implementation of that method. So once you create abstract method, then only you need to provide the abstract class. So if you're not having any abstract method, then no need to provide the abstract class. But if you provide it abstract class, it will make the difference how you create the object. So let's create one method, that is abstract method. Abstract method are the method which doesn't have any body, it is just a declaration. So I will say abstract void print hello. Okay, so this is the abstract method which doesn't have any body, it is just a declaration. Once you have any method as abstract in a class, you have to mark class as abstract. If you don't mark, it will ask you to mark abstract class. It is a compilation problem. Otherwise, what you need to do, you have to define this class, then it is fine. Okay, so and remove this abstract. Otherwise, if you are putting abstract, then you have to just declare it and you have to mark this class as abstract. That's the signature of abstract class. So once you have a method abstract, what you need to do, once you create the object, you have to implement the unimplemented method. Okay, so here you have to define the method, say print hello. So once you call the method, because you have created the constructor of that, then only you are trying to call the call static method. You can call the static method, but the way you will create the object, this is this way. Now you can, if you have any method in the abstract class, that you can call it. So right now I have only a static class, a static method, which we have already tried calling it using the just class name. So let's create one method, print public void print all statements. This is something I have method where I will call this method print hello. Okay, and I will create few more. I will call few more methods, say print morning, then I will call print evening. So these two methods I will need to create it here. If I don't want to create, I have to again mark them as a abstract. So let's create those methods. Let's create good morning, sorry, let's create print morning, let's create print evening. So in the print evening I will say good evening, and in print morning I will say print good morning. Okay, so if you see here, I have implemented these two methods which I am calling, those are private, and which I am calling inside this print all statements, and this method which is marked as abstract, that method also I am calling as a first method, but I have not yet defined. So because this is marked as abstract, so whenever we are creating the object, at that time we need to implement that method. So here I have implemented print hello. Now I can call print all statements. So what it will do, it will first try to print hello, but that method I have created inside this object to implement it. So it will call this print hello first, then will call print morning, then print evening. Okay, so print hello, good morning and good evening. So this is the way you can use your abstract class. Here, whenever you create the object, at the time you need to implement the methods. But suppose you have more than 10 methods or more than 20, so it is big list to implement like this, and it is whenever you create the object you need to do, so it's big work. So to avoid it, the way we understand how to use the abstract class is, when you have abstract class, you have to create a child class which will extend the abstract class, and then you can create the object of child class and use it. So let's create one child class. Child class I will create here only. I will give the name of that class as child abstract. So child abstract class. So child abstract class will extend abstract class. Oh, there is something wrong with class name. Let's correct it. This typo is there. So this child abstract class is extending abstract class. So once you are extending abstract class, it is must to implement the unimplemented method. So whatever method which are marked as abstract in your parent class, you need to implement here. So I am implementing here print hello in child class. Okay, so if I go and test it, then let's not create the object like this. Let's create the object of your child abstract class. Okay, then you can use that method like this. So it will print the first, it will print the print hello in child class, then good morning, and then good evening. So once you create the new abstract class, new child abstract class, so because it is standing here abstract class, it will call the constructor of that abstract class, that is default constructor. This one it will call. Okay, so this is the way you have to create the abstract class. So abstract class is basically you can have a number of abstract methods, or you can have zero number of abstract method. So if you don't have abstract method, also you can create class as a abstract. The purpose of those class is not meaningful. So the actual purpose is when you create a abstract method, then only you mark as a class as abstract. So what is the situation you need to create the abstract method, you have, that is the situation when you need to give a contract that I have one method, but child classes whoever implementing whoever is sending me, they can implement this method and their own way and use it. So that's whole purpose of abstract class. So it is very widely used in your day-to-day programming. Okay, so let's try to recap the things. So in abstract class we have gone through how to create the abstract class, how to create the abstract method, what is the contract of abstraction. So contract of abstraction is that once you create the abstract class, you need to have one abstract method, then only it is purposeful to create the abstract class. And once you create the abstract class, you need to have one child class that will extend your abstract class, and they need to implement the unimplemented methods and use that. So we talk about when to use abstraction, we will talk about how we play with constructors, and we saw that how to create the object. So once you create the object, if the best way is that you create the object of child class. If you are creating the object of your abstract class only, so at the same time you need to implement the unimplemented methods. When the number of object creation is more, then it is very kind of huge work to implement the method similar methods n number of times, so it is not advisable. So create the child class and then extend the abstract class and then use it. So we have seen how to use the static method also in case of abstract class. Okay, so that's all about abstract classes. So in the next session I will explain about interface.